A fighter jet launches off a U.S. aircraft carrier at 160 miles per hour. Something goes wrong. The pilot pulls the ejection handle. In less than 1/3 of a second, a rocket fires that seat out of a moving jet traveling faster than most highways allow. The pilot is now alone in the middle of the ocean, miles from land, and the clock starts immediately. But here's the thing most people do not know. The U.S. Navy already has a plan in motion before that pilot even hits the water. Stay with us, because the rescue system built around a U.S. aircraft carrier is one of the most carefully engineered life-saving operations on Earth, and almost no one outside the military knows how it actually works. If you have ever served in naval aviation, or you have a family member who has, drop a comment below right now. Tell us what ship or squadron they served with. We want to hear from you today. Here is the fact that puts everything in perspective. Cold ocean water can kill a healthy person in as little as 30 minutes. In some sea conditions, that window is even shorter, and a pilot who has just been blasted out of a cockpit at high speed may already be injured, disoriented, or tangled in their parachute before they even reach the surface. The U.S. Navy has known this for decades, and because of that knowledge, it has built an entire layered rescue system around every carrier strike group that operates around the clock in every weather condition. Every single day a carrier is at sea. This is not a system that waits for something to go wrong and then scrambles to respond. It is a system designed to already be in position the moment disaster happens. Every piece of it, every person in it, ready before the first jet even launches. What happens the moment a pilot ejects? To understand the rescue, you first have to understand the ejection itself. When a Navy pilot pulls the ejection handle, a sequence of events begins. That happens faster than the human eye can follow. An explosive charge blasts the canopy off the aircraft. Rocket motors fire beneath the seat, driving it upward and away from the jet that may be spinning, on fire, or pointed straight toward the water. The entire sequence, canopy off, seat fired, parachute deployed, takes roughly 2 to 3 seconds. The seat is designed to work even at 0 altitude and 0 airspeed. A pilot can eject while sitting completely still on the flight deck and still survive. Once clear off the aircraft, the seat and pilot separate. The parachute opens automatically, and now begins the most dangerous phase, the descent toward the ocean. Hanging beneath the parachute, the pilot is supposed to reach down and pull a large handle on the survival kit beneath their seat. That action separates the lower half of the kit, which stays attached by a 23-foot lanyard. When the kit reaches the end of that lanyard, the tension automatically triggers the inflation system on a compact life raft. The goal is for that raft to be inflated and ready before the pilot even hits the water. What the pilot is carrying. Inside that kit is self-inflating life raft. There are signal flares, dye markers, bright chemical compounds. There is an emergency radio beacon. There is a space blanket, emergency drinking water, nylon cord, a signal card, and a full survival kit with additional items that vary by mission and climate. The radio beacon is arguably the most critical piece. The plane guard, the system that is always watching. Every time a U.S. aircraft carrier conducts flight operations, every launch, every landing, every combat mission, every training flight, a specific rescue system called the plane guard is already in place. It has 2 components working together. The first is a destroyer or a frigate stationed directly behind the carrier. Not nearby, not somewhere in the strike group, directly behind it. Positioned between 500 and 2,000 yards astern. Sitting in the approach path where aircraft come in to land. That ship has a rescue boat already swung out over the side, prepared for immediate deployment. Not stored below, not locked away, ready to drop in the water the moment the order comes. The crew of that ship knows their job. In an aircraft crashes on approach, if a pilot ejects short of the deck, if anyone goes into the water, that ship moves immediately to the last known position. Before we go further, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing but makes a huge difference to us. Hit that subscribe button right now and stay with us to the end. The second component of the plane guard system is a rescue helicopter, and this is where the system becomes truly remarkable. During all flight operations, A rescue helicopter is airborne, not on standby on the flight deck, not warming up in the hangar. Airborne, already in the air, already flying a patrol pattern near the carrier, ready to respond in a matter of minutes, sometimes less. In carrier aviation, helicopters are the first to launch and the last to recover. That is not an accident, that is a rescue system staying in position from the first flight to the last. The rescue helicopter and the swimmer. The primary rescue helicopter used by the U.S. Navy on an aircraft carrier today is the MH-60 Seahawk. It is a twin-engine military helicopter specifically configured for search and rescue missions at sea. It carries a rescue hoist rated for 600 pounds, forward-looking infrared sensors for finding survivors in darkness, and a crew trained specifically for open ocean rescues. But the most important person on the helicopter is not the pilot. It is the rescue swimmer. The rescue swimmer is a specifically trained U.S. Navy enlisted air crewman whose sole job in a rescue is to jump out of the helicopter and into the ocean. Not lower themselves carefully, not wait for calm conditions, jump into whatever sea state exists, in whatever weather is happening, at whatever time of day or night. These swimmers train for years before they are assigned to their first squadron. They are trained to handle cold water shock, heavy surf, debris fields, disoriented or panicking survivors, and injured pilots who may not be conscious when the swimmer reaches them. Their motto is 4 words: so others may live. Once in the water, the swimmer reaches the pilot, assesses their injuries, keeps them stabilized, and prepares them for hoist extraction back into the helicopter. A hoist operator above manages the cable and basket. The pilot is lifted out of the ocean and into the helicopter. The moment the ejection is confirmed to the moment a rescue helicopter reaches the survivor can be a matter of minutes because that helicopter was already airborne and already in position. The 5-minute threat, why speed is everything. Here is something that brings the urgency into sharp focus. Hypothermia, the dangerous drop in body temperature caused by cold water immersion, is one of the greatest threats a downed pilot faces. Depending on water temperature, a person in the ocean can begin losing muscle function and mental clarity within minutes. In cold waters, survival time without protection can be measured in less than an hour. A pilot wearing a standard flight suit has some protection, the survival gear adds more, but the clock is always running. This is why the entire plane guard system is designed around one principle: do not wait for the emergency to start preparing for it. Have everything ready before it happens. A rescue helicopter that has to launch, warm up, and fly to position after an ejection costs precious minutes that a survivor in cold water cannot afford to lose. What the Navy is building for the future. In August 2024, the U.S. Naval Institute's Proceedings Journal published a detailed analysis of the Navy's long-range rescue capabilities. The assessment was direct. If the U.S. were forced into a major conflict, particularly in the Pacific against China, the current rescue architecture would face serious strain. War games involving a Chinese invasion of Taiwan estimated U.S. aircraft losses between 200 and 484 planes. Of those, between 20 and 48 American crew members could find themselves waiting in life rafts in open ocean for rescue forces that might not be able to reach them in time. The Navy is already working on the solution under a program called Future Vertical Lift Maritime Strike. The service is planning to begin replacing the current MH-60 fleet by 2040 with a mix of manned and unmanned aircraft with a greater range and speed. The goal is clear: reach down pilots faster, from farther away, and in more contested environments than any previous rescue systems could handle. The people behind the system. It is easy to talk about systems and equipment, but this rescue chain runs on people. The rescue swimmer who jumps into a churning ocean in the middle of the night to reach a pilot they have never met. The plane guard destroyer crew who stands watch every single flight cycle, boat ready, eyes on the water, hoping they never have to use it, but completely prepared if they do. The helicopter crew that flies the same patrol pattern hours after hour, in wind and rain and darkness, so that a pilot in trouble is never alone in the water for long. The survival equipment technicians back on the carrier who pack and inspect every life raft, every beacon, every parachute, every piece of gear, in every pilot's ejection seat, knowing that if they miss something, a person dies. One Navy survival equipment technician described his team's standard this way: everything they work on is used only in an emergency, which means there are no functional tests. If that gear is used, it must work the first time, every time. That standard, first time, every time, is a standard that runs through every person in the carrier rescue system. Closing, the chain that never breaks. The U.S. Navy loses aircraft. It has always been that way. Carrier aviation is one of the most dangerous forms of flying in the world. Every time a jet launches off that deck, every time a pilot flies a combat strike, there's a real chance something goes wrong. But from the moment a pilot pulls that handle, they are not alone. The beacon is transmitting, the raft is inflating, the plane guard helicopter is already airborne, the wingman is circling overhead, the rescue task force is launching, and somewhere on that destroyer positioned astern of the carrier, a boat is hanging over the side, ready to drop. The U.S. Navy has built a system that says one simple thing to every pilot who straps into a carrier jet: we will come for you. That promise is backed by decades of engineering, thousands of hours of training, and the kind of quiet courage that never makes a headline but saves lives. Every time it is called upon, the men and the women who maintain that system, who fly those rescue patrols, who pack those survival kits, who jump into the ocean so others may live, represent the very best of what this country military has to offer. Outro. That is how the U.S. aircraft carriers rescue pilots who eject into the ocean, a layered system, a dedicated team, and a commitment to leave no one behind. If this video gave you something to think about, do one simple thing right now. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It helps us bring more stories like this to people who care about the men and the women who serve. Stay sharp.